Yeah, so we'll start with a rolling start. Why not? And welcome to the Pagey train. Welcome back to another fine episode. Today I have in with me Anisha Thomas. Welcome, Anisha.
Hi.
Thomas. Anisha is a film composer and just extraordinary person.
Oh, you're too kind. Too kind.
Wow, you are a busy bee.
Yeah, I haven't had a holiday in I don't even remember. It's been years.
I remember when we first met. I do remember when we first met, but
I remember when we first met.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Was it Hangouts?
Yeah.
It was Hangouts. Yeah. May have had a few drinks again at that meeting. That's a good place to meet. If you haven't checked it out, check out the Western Sydney Filmmakers Hangout. We meet at the Park Royal every quarter. Mm-hmm. Is that right? How many have you been to?
Quite a bit. Oh gosh, time just flies. I'm forgetting that we're in 2020 at the moment. So.
Well, that's what I'm getting to.
Yeah.
Was it 2017 we met or 2018?
2017.
Was it 2017?
Yeah, I think when it started.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So a many meet up ago.
Yes, many. I do remember the first ever one, but it wouldn't have been the first one we met up with. I met you. It was probably the third or fourth one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you got to work the room a little bit.
Yeah.
You got to get around.
I know.
And I'm a social butterfly. Actually, no. It's actually the opposite. Someone gets a hold of me, and I end up getting stuck with the person sometimes. I remember talking to you about your dreams and aspirations.
I do remember that conversation.
Yeah. I thought when I was talking to you, I thought, wow, what a bold lady. But I think the first sort of project we come across on was Rachel Bellmeyer's film.
Yes, the wonderful Rachel. Shout out to Rachel.
Yeah, she's a frequent shouter out E.
Yes.
We're the shouter outers, and she's the shouter out E.
That's right.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Look that up, Nate. Is there such thing as a shouter outer and a shouter out E? Actually, no, don't look that up. It's crazy. Yeah, so it was Curated Illusions. Is that right?
Yes. So I think on Rachel's podcast she was mentioning how we actually met. Mm-hmm. But in summary of that, we met at the Sydney Film Festival, women's networking. Literally, it was very romantic. Our eyes met across the room, and I was just like, "Oh wow, hi."
Yeah.
And we just got talking about her project, and less than 24 hours later, I was composing for her short film. Yeah,
because it's one of those meetings that you go to and you talk to someone, you go, you got to talk to this person, and you talk to this person, so you try to get people to mingle. Yeah. Same sort of thing we do at Made in the West.
Yes, of course.
It's forced networking.
Yeah, I know. But, when you meet certain people, you just gravitate to them, and this was just an amazing creative collaboration that we have, and she's also an amazing friend too, so it was incredible. 24 hours later, less than 24 hours later, I was writing for her composing for a short film, and the rest is history. Yeah,
because then you started with Curated Illusions, and then I think you've done a few since then, like 3 Feet Deep for her, and you've done
They're Listening.
Yes. But I was doing a bit of Facebook stalking today, and I found you were doing something on Channel 31 Melbourne.
Yeah, so that was with New Productions and Elisa Cristallo. So I don't know whether you've had Elisa yet on the show.
No, she's on the hit list.
Yeah, definitely. It's so worth having her. She's great. So I did their music for the TV web series Welcome to the Family, which is about an Italian girl and her Italian family.
Yeah, so your music is going out on the air.
Yeah.
And travelling around Australia, because you know that the stations usually do content sharing, right? Mm-hmm. So like Channel 31 will go, I've got the show. And then they might show it in Brisbane. They might show it in Adelaide.
Yeah.
WA. So unfortunately not Sydney. We don't have a community TV anymore.
I know.
Which is sad.
It's sad,
Yeah. So every couple of shows this comes up. I always mourn TVS, but it was good times. But it was it sort of inspired a lot of our community as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, so getting out there on the air must be exciting.
It is. I've also been pretty lucky to have some interest overseas as well. So I've been traveling back and forth between Sydney and LA. So working on some projects over in the US.
Oh wow! Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, so I did a docu-series over there. Well, I was working here. So I did a docu-series with a girl that interviews people that does good deeds and, you know, their service to the community. And yeah, that was a really interesting project that I worked on with her. And then there's a few other projects that I've been scheduled to do. Another one is a web series, and then another documentary, which is...
And this is all over in the States? Or?
Yes, that's all States-based work.
Okay.
So yeah, that's...
Well, what are the mechanics of that? How does that work? So you you get commissioned from people over there, and then you sort of do a briefing online, or?
Well, these people I actually met in person when I was over in the States. So, you know, these are people that I've built relationships with over months of time, and then, you know, at least they know I'm a real person. So, you know, after that, it's just like, you know, through correspondence, you know, I've got this project. Can you write some music for that? So yeah, that's kind of how it works.
Yeah, building relationships. I think it's important.
And I think it's also with post-production as well. You don't actually have to live in the city. You know, you can have a film shot in Sydney and, you know, have it, you know, edited and mixed over in WA, you know, so you can, it's pretty incredible what technology does.
Yeah.
And it gives us more opportunities as well, you know, to work.
Access.
Yeah, with other people too.
Yeah, I find that across you know, different fields that I'm involved in, you know, whether it's music, film, festivals, you know, like even stuff like Facebook, right? So in the old days, like if you're putting a band up, for instance, you'd have to go out, put flyers up, hand out leaflets. You know, it's a physical advertising campaign. Not to say that you still don't do things like that, but now you can target, you know, audiences directly, or you can target bands directly as well. Like if you see someone you want to play with, you can go, hey man, do you want to do a show together? And normally that would be really difficult to do. And even from a creative point of view, so you know, a guitarist can put some material online, and then a drummer can then work on that material, record their track, and then, you know, get a vocalist involved. You know, so you can actually build things across the internet. So I know there's a bit of a suck eggs example, but well, not suck eggs, but suck eggs explanation to it. But it wasn't like that all the time.
No, it wasn't. It's definitely become more accessible over the years. So I think that's great. It is. You know, I mean, some people reminisce on the good old days when, you know, you'd send in a DVD or whatever, but I just love this, like, you know, real-time instant, you know, movement of everything and how quick it is, you know. So
yeah, it's very quick.
Yeah,
quick and accessible. Well, how when you do something like curated illusions, so how do you go about a project like that? So you meet a filmmaker. What happens after that? So to talk
through my process?
Yeah.
Okay. So you know, the process is different with every... I mean, in my experience, the process is always very different with each filmmaker, director, producer. So if I use Rachel for an example, you know, I think... you know, working with her, she's very organized. So, you know, she has a very clear vision of what she wants. And, you know, it's great to work with someone like that because you're not kind of like beating around the bush and, you know, you're not hearing the ums and ahs. Whereas she's just like, you know, I have this vision. I want the music to sound like this, you know, briefs, reference tracks, all that stuff, and tells me, you know, here, there, but is at the same time extremely open to any advice that, you know, I have. So that's just a dream to work with. So, I mean, if we talk about 3 Feet Deep, because that was a big thing in terms of music, you know, music was a big part of the storytelling. So I'll talk to you about that process. You know, that was a back-to-back score, you know, no breaks. Like the music was just throughout the whole entire film. So, you know, it was a process of, you know, referring to the reference tracks just to see the sound, because she had a very particular vision of what she was after for each scene, each shot. You know, I want the audience to feel like this here and this over there. So, you know, composing it, it was, I received the edit, and then after that, I'm talking technically, put it into my software and, pick out instruments, sounds, come up with a mock-up. She'll either be yay or which is fine, then you just rewrite it again and till you get something that you're happy with, and then going through that process for each track, and then after that, I think with 3 Feet Deep it kind of just came together quite seamless. Yeah, very seamlessly. I mean, because I'd worked with her for Curated Illusions, I kind of was like, okay, this is what you want. When you say more, I'm just going to add, 20 instruments instead of 5 instruments.
Okay.
So, it's funny because I sent her an image of my session, and she was just like, whoa, I didn't know there was that many instruments in there. And I was like, I told you, when you said 5, it's usually like 10. So I think as well, as a composer, you have to really just get that dialogue with the director, just really listen to them, and they may suggest certain things with the music, and that's great, you've got to take that on board, but then interpret it in a musical way. So here she might say, I want some silence, but in silence, it might not work theoretically in the music. So what you can do is, okay, what she's, I'm just using anyone as an example, what they mean could be just you want that break. So in order to get that, you think of a way to do that musically, like so for example, just a little bit of echo. So, or if they say they want more, you add more instruments and you make it faster or something like that. They might not direct you to do it faster or whatever, but you as a composer are interpreting their vision in a musical way.
Yeah, okay. So essentially, you're kind of translating.
Exactly.
They're speaking in an image in an emotional sense, and then you need to bring that into musical jargon sense, where you go,
exactly.
So I'm going to add these layers to this to have this effect.
Yes.
Well, it's nice when you have a director that gives you an emotional roadmap.
Yes, and that's really amazing with Rachel, because she will always give you, a really clear idea, vision, whatever you need. She's just like,
All directors like that?
No. Look, it can be hard sometimes, because I think, with composing and music, it is its own form of storytelling. So, a story can be told thousands of ways. Likewise, music can be written many different ways.
Of course.
It has to be like that. I mean, anyone that says that music can't be written thousands of ways, I don't know what you're listening to, or because I've had people say that's not true, but I 100% believe music can be written in millions of ways. And if you don't think so, you're not thinking outside the box, obviously. I strongly believe music can be interpreted many different ways, and when that's put with a story, you're working from a blank canvas, really. So that's why it's good to get the dialogue going, and if a director has a very strong, clear vision, then it's about just trying to basically just get it out of them. So I think it's just going in, not expecting your first track to be like the one that you want, but just giving something to work from, and just bringing the best out of the story, the music, and that works through just communication. It's like dating. It really is. You build like this, this. It almost feels like it's dating when you're working with
I've always said that with different people you work with and collaborate with, like cinematographers. As a director, you got to fall in love with your cinematographer. It's the same for music. Like even all the directors. Well, I should say 90% of the directors I've worked with. I've felt that I've built like this strong relationship with, and it's great because with that relationship we can put that towards other projects, and it's great when they come to me with another
film or another, TV series or whatever, like you have that relationship already there established. So, the next project's always even more seamless and you understand what they're after and to get the best.
And you break down those language barriers as well when you work with people over again, because you usually work with people you worked with before.
Yeah.
I think most of the projects... like more than half of the projects I've done, I've always gotten a composer. And a lot of people back in the day, like that's about 10 years ago when I started doing that. And people that were other filmmakers around me were like, why not just use, music off the internet, man? You're like, but dude, I need it scored. Don't you see the power of scoring your film where you can basically it's like putting a turbocharger on your shots. You're like, this shot is the emotion is here, but I can lift it with music.
Exactly. It's all part of the storytelling.
Or pull it down.
Yeah.
You can go the other direction as well. I want to make this really bleak and morbid, and you can do that with music.
Yeah.
It enhances your images.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I've always said as well, when you cut images, you cut them rhythmically. Mm-hmm. And when they're cut rhythmically, the better rhythm that an edit has, surely it would be easier to write to as well.
Oh, it definitely. So, especially if you want the music to kind of emphasize those cuts and those shots, when it's been cut rhythmically, then it just makes the music flow with that a little bit more seamlessly and just makes our job a bit easier because...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the scoring always comes after.
So with that, it does, but off late, there's been this trend where composers are now being called very early on in the process, and I'll explain why.
Okay.
Because traditionally, yes, and I believe...
Because you don't know what you're going to get until you've shot it.
That's true.
You've got a plan, but that doesn't mean it's all going to come together like that. So.
That's true. So there are certain films that I do believe need to be scored after it's been edited and just put into picture lock. But there have been some films, probably the most famous one is actually The Joker. Mm-hmm. That was scored, parts of it was scored before it was actually shot.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Well, would the intent then be to cut? Would have to be to cut to the music?
Yes. So again, it depends on the relationship the director has, not only with the composer, but the importance they put on the music. So, in fact, they're listening. I actually did that without.
Okay, so it was cut too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess I'd channel Tarantino. He's someone that will pick a song and then write a scene to the song, and then shoot it and edit it to the song.
Yeah. So again, because as I was saying before, music is so important to the storytelling. A lot of directors are often basing their stories on a piece of music, shooting around a piece of music. So it's not uncommon these days to...
Sorry, happens all the time.
It's not uncommon for a director to call you in and be like, hey, look, I have this...
idea.
Do you want to come on board? And so... that in itself is a very interesting process too, but it is possible. In the case of it not being the best thing, as in having the music, when the music should be there after the edit has happened and everything's
you've got to do it deliberately.
Yeah, see that
you can't just go, well, I'm going to get a composer and then get this and not do it
exactly. There has to be an intention. So especially if something's very sort of timing based, on a logistic, on the logistics, it's easier to score for something. Obviously, if you want, certain hits and the music to come in time with the edit. Because then otherwise you have to go back and then fix it up again, tweak it again. And there's no point in that, especially if the edit is...
It's a frustrating process.
It is so frustrating. It is absolutely frustrating.
Possible, but a frustrating process because then you have a flow and then you've gone that flow and now you've got to... Because by changing that flow, it might affect what's in front of it or behind it.
Exactly. So, again, it just depends on the project. Also, I think the strongest thing about that is... the director, any filmmaker has to really just think about music from the get-go. You just have to think about it and plan ahead for it. So
decide what
it's not meant to be an afterthought. And you can tell when films are made and music is an afterthought. Like, you can just tell. So.
Well, you have a website, yeah?
Yes.
So if someone wants to get music made for their film, can they just contact you at your website? Or?
I'm pretty accessible. I'm all over the internet.
Yeah. I'm on all the platforms. Who isn't on all the platforms?
I know, right?
I'm not. I'm not on Vimeo. And my Instagram sucks.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. It's terrible. I don't know how you all do it. Got so much time. People go, Ross, you're a busy guy. How do you fit it all in? I don't know, because I don't do all the social media. So much work. No, but we can find you on Facebook.
Yeah, everywhere. And Google Anisha Thomas. You should be able to find me.
So there you go, kids. If you need your film scored, check out Anisha. I think it's really important to get a composer for your film.
Definitely.
If it's necessary. There's films out there that totally don't have a soundscape of that nature. But speaking of which, we actually shared a soundscape in a film.
Oh, yeah.
3 feet deep. Because I built I did all the Foley for that.
Yes, you did.
And I did the ADR.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, so we actually shared a soundscape.
I know. We've
indirectly worked together.
Yeah, we have. Because I remember at the time I was scoring, Rachel was working with you on, the ADR Foley mixing.
Yeah. So I did a mix. I didn't do a master for her though. So I said, look, I'm not mastering it for you. You need to get someone to master it.
Yeah.
But I gave her all the tracks for it. I go, here's all you can pull this up, pull that down, do what you like.
Yeah.
She had a full editable. She could edit that project, no worries, as far as the soundscape goes.
So, talking about the soundscape for 3 feet deep, it was extremely important. I mean, not only just the music, but the sound as well, really played an important part.
Yeah, well, I think sound does.
It does.
It fills this frequency that people don't think about.
Exactly. It's just such a subconscious part of your brain that's,
Well, we can tell the sound of something, how far away it is.
Yeah.
And generally you hear things before you see them. Mm-hmm. Like you'll be like, what was that over there? You'll always hear something before you see it. And the irony is that sound travels slower than light. But we're dealing with a business that is focused on light, but it has a hidden frequency. And that frequency is sound.
Yeah.
Diegetic and non-diegetic sounds.
Yeah.
And I'm really big on that, actually. I love doing that. I love messing with diegetics, like transferring sounds between, the air quotation, God sounds in a film to the actual sounds in a film.
Yeah.
When someone gets out of a car and the music follows the person, like the radio was on in the car, but now the music's following them, so you're breaking those laws of physics.
Yeah.
I like doing things like that, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think the thing with sound is that people can forgive bad visuals, but bad sound, you always wonder, okay, what was wrong with that film? What was wrong with it? It's the sound.
It's probably the sound.
This subconscious part of your brain that really is telling you about that sound.
Yeah, you'll notice that it's something wrong with it.
Yeah.
A good example is lips that are out of sync.
Oh, gosh.
You know what I mean? That's an
Yeah.
example of sound having a poor effect on a film. Even if the sync is out, people will be like, oh man, this is hard to watch. And then, that's at one extreme, and pull it back from another extreme, and this has all changed on me. I think this side? No. This side? It likes this side. There we go. What's going on? I think I might need to buy some new mics, Nate. Hey. Oh, I like this scene. Yeah, so that's me drinking. Because I went up to, the... I even did the breath for him. No, yeah, I don't know. Is there, when I do Foley, there's this element of me acting out what the actors are doing.
Yeah.
So you're kind of reacting the film in a way, but in a different frequency.
Yeah.
You're doing it, as just the soundscape. Do you have an element of that when you're doing the sound? Are you especially when you do obviously the composition after the film, are you sort of reacting in that way? You know what I mean? Like you're acting out in that film, but in the sound?
Oh, well, I think on a similar tangent, it's interesting because when you're scoring for a film, I suppose instead of sort of acting out. But saying that though, I do remember scripts.
Yeah.
Eventually, like I'm scoring at the moment for. You've had Andreas on the show, haven't you?
Yeah. So you're doing Bad Influence.
I'm doing Bad Influence, and I swear I remember half the script already. Like I can quote scenes.
Yeah.
Just because you're listening to it all the time, and you kind of. And I think for me, I tend to really feel for the characters. I start to empathize, or I just get angry with certain characters. So I find
yeah, do you tap into that?
I definitely do, and I think that also helps me with my composing.
Yeah, because in itself it's a performance.
Exactly.
And you're sort of referencing this other performance.
Exactly.
Exactly. I find that when I notice those things in myself when I'm doing them, I go, "That's bizarre." Like he picked that jacket up off the couch, and I did it exactly the same way, just with a better microphone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
speaking of better mics, this is sounding a lot better.
It was in for 3 Feet Deep, though. I remember having nightmares of being buried.
Oh, no. Yeah, being drawn. Yeah, getting drawn into your work like that.
Yeah. Like, I just would have nightmares of, the two characters, I would just see their faces all the time because, when you're... Like, especially when you're working with an edit, you're constantly rewatching slow motion, finding points where you can, put a note in or a beat in.
Or keyframes. You're like, there's a signature frame there. I need that frame there
I need
as
to
a
put
reference.
something there, all this person's facial expressions are changing, I'm going to add some strings here. You're constantly... Your eyes just get really tired too. You suffer eye fatigue and ear fatigue after a while, but it's natural for you to kind of become involved with the characters, and then it's really weird at premieres because when I see them, I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been watching hours of you. I know every wrinkle on your face.
You do go to a lot of film festivals. So, recently you've done because you've been to Sydney Film Festival, Cause Film Festival, Made in the West, obviously, SF3. You're seeing your work in a lot of places.
And Reese, I don't know whether you've seen...
or hearing, I should say. Hearing your work in a lot of places.
But our film has actually been... is going to be shown at Manchester Liftoff Film Festival.
Yeah, this is another one I've ticked like on. Woo! Great.
Yes. So, high five for us.
Yeah. Hope he wins the Sound Award and Best Composer.
I know, right?
That'd be great. I'll go to England for that.
Yes.
Maybe I don't quote me to that, Rachel. If you're hearing this, maybe I will, maybe I won't. That's fantastic news that we get to do things like that. I think that's the same thing that an editor suffers. Like when I write a film, because some of them I've written, directed, edited, and done the Foley on. So you write it, you've constructed it, you've storyboarded it, you've shot listed it, you've shot it. No, you rehearsed it.
I know.
Then you've shot it. Then you've edited it.
Yeah.
And when you're editing it, it's repetitive work.
Yeah.
So by the time it gets to a screen, I've watched it hundreds of times.
Yeah.
Easily. And then I realised that I've got to check this about myself. When I've had my content on screens and been too distracted to watch it. Because I've seen this so many times. But you're on especially at event cinema, you're like, you got your stuff on a 4-story screen. You're like, oh, I'm just going to go queue for a beer, actually. I'm really exhausted. So I think, you've got to stop and smell the roses, even though we've watched it so many times. I think,
agree.
We've got to pick ourselves up and go, no, this is our moment, man. We're on the red carpet, got our moment, have your moment.
I know, because it's kind of easy to get distracted, when you've got so much going on, and just taking it, that moment to really just celebrate, how far you've come.
Yeah.
So, I try and do that even for myself, just in terms of my career, just take a moment to be like...
Yeah, celebrate your wins.
Yeah.
Because we work really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of hard work out there, man.
Yeah, the Made in the West Best Original Score, it's in my room, just there. And, if I'm having a hard day, I just look at that. I'm like, no, I've got this.
Yeah.
I've got this, yeah.
Yeah, you got that for 3 Feet Deep, yeah?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well done. Congratulations once again.
Thank you.
But back to bad influence. So, Andreas Tomas.
Thomas, yeah.
Tomas. Big shout out, buddy. I've got you
Andres.
coming up on the show, actually. I've got him coming up on the show again in a couple of weeks.
Oh, you having him again?
Yeah, I get people back. Always get them back. Why not?
I'll keep you to that.
Yeah.
No, it's great.
I'm doing
That
this
you have
release,
him
and I
back.
need you to do this episode for me, Ross. Not a problem. Anytime. Anyone out there, if you got something to promote, let me know. I can make it happen.
Awesome.
Yeah. I've always got time.
Yeah.
I actually have no time, but I'll make time.
That's why we love you.
No, I do okay. We do okay. But yeah, so bad influence. So if you're obviously finished the composition?
I'm still working on it right now.
Oh, you're at a deadline.
Yeah, I know. I am actually I'm under the pump. You know, but he's great. Like he you know, I think I put more pressure on myself. So yeah, that's been a lot of fun to score. It is an intense film, but it has been a lot of fun to really just, you know, I think I'm trying to get out of my comfort zone too as a composer. You know, I've been our process, because every process is different. You know, it's me really just talking to him about the emotions, because you know there's obviously a very strong emotive not only just message, but he wants the audience to feel something. So and he has that all sort of planned out, this this emotional journey.
Yes.
So it's just about being able to, you know, connect with that journey. And I mean, I do connect with it, but I'm trying to now communicate that musically.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of me just being like, right,
But it's a feature as well. It's a big job. It's a big bloody job.
So it's me just messaging him, just being like, hey, you know, what do you want the audience to feel here? I feel a bit of unnervedness. So it's like trying to connect these emotions that we both have for that, and then me just throwing ideas like, okay, so I'm thinking strings, I'm thinking this and that, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm thinking the same thing too, or oh, you know, I'm thinking maybe we could do this, and yeah, so it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. Sounds like a hoot.
Yeah, it is. I can feel the pressure though of the deadline. I mean,
Yeah.
like with any film, you know, it's.
You need that pressure. I need that pressure.
I'm the same. Like, you know, I think it's nice to have a reasonable deadline. So, you know, still, you know, there is a benefit of going away for a little bit and then coming back refreshed after some sleep. Sleep's good, important, Ross.
I sleep sometimes. I do sleep. I do.
Sleep is for the dead.
I do sleep. Well, look, for those that aren't informed, we're talking off air before about me not sleeping. I do sleep though. There's certainly proof of that.
Sure. No,
I'm a busy guy. I'm a night owl and a morning person.
I just don't understand that. How can you be both? Unless you're Ross.
You got to do the big sleep though. Do the big sleep on the weekend. That's the key. Do the big sleep. Have some fruit. Regulated caffeine intake, because you can go too far on caffeine.
That's true.
Go too far on
You should
alcohol.
see me at a deadline, because I'm just like 3-4 coffees. I'm just like.
Well, do you drink and work? Do you ever drink and work?
Well,
do you drink a bit of red wine when you work?
I have, and I think, I mean, as long as I don't drink too much, because I'll just fall asleep. But a little bit actually kind of gives you that little bit of oomph.
Yeah, sometimes
I did
you've got to manage the fear sometimes.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I've got to do this project, have a little bit of a drink. I'm like, right, let's go.
Yeah, because it relaxes you and kind of just helps you really tap into your creative side. A bit of their listening, I had a few wines when I did some of the tracks for that.
Yeah, okay.
And I messaged Rachel about it. I was like, you know, I've had a few wines, but let me know how this sounds. And yeah, it was fine. So.
Yeah, I think sometimes you've got to go into that. Well, personally, I have to go into that spectrum. I'm not saying, guys, that you should drink every edit you do, or you know, drink on set. Don't drink on
responsibly.
Set. Drink responsibly.
Yeah,
responsibly. They come out right.
No, did that come out right? Responsibly.
Yeah.
I'm
Just
drinking responsibly.
Drink responsibly when you're working. Yeah. No, I definitely. There's some stuff that I've done that's total rock star though. When I'm editing, I do this pace back and forth, like because I edit right there. and I do this pace back and forth, have a drink, edit. You know, you're like, oh, you're 4 hours in. I can be quite animated and intense when I edit.
Yeah.
I love it though, especially when I'm doing like, you know, really cool things. And sometimes you go, I'm a little bit too drunk. You go, oh, I'll have an espresso. Go have an espresso. And then I'm too wired. Have another drink.
Yeah.
So sometimes I do go full rock star into doing an edit.
I know when I'm writing and I'm on a roll, like, you know, anyone that comes and disturbs me, I'm just like, you know, just like,
what do you
leave
mean,
me
fuck
alone.
off?
Yeah, just like, you know, I think,
fuck off.
yes.
And they're just like, fuck off. if you whisper,
I was told not to swear too much. I'm kidding. You know, I'm just like, you know, leave me alone. Like, I am just in my element, you know, just, yeah.
Yeah, this is my space.
It,
yeah,
doing it, and you know, anyone that disturbs me that time, I'm just like,
yeah. I can be sometimes I can be short during an edit as well, especially when I don't like being critiqued immediately after an edit.
no, that's fair enough. Yeah.
And when it's immediately after, they're like, all right, fix this, change that, and I'm like, hey, whoa, how about you guys just watch it, give me a paper edit, and get back to me in an hour. Because I've been editing for 8 hours and you guys need to chill.
The most nerve-wracking...
So I have a lot of demanding producers. You're all very demanding. You know who you are.
Watch out. I think the most nerve-wracking thing for me is like waiting for the director to come back and tell me whether they like it or they hate it. Like, I mean, I can deal with them being like, I like it, but I want, you know, X, Y, and Z changed. But when they are just like, oh, you know... start again or whatever, you know, it can be a little crushing.
Yeah, it can destroy your soul.
Especially if you spent hours on it. But I think you get used to it, you know, working in the industry for a few years. You're just like...
Yeah, you got to be
it's part of the art. You
got to be a bit battle hardened.
You do. You're literally just wearing this armor and going straight into battle. But that waiting for the director to review your music is just like killing. Like, I remember, you know, waiting, especially for 3 Feet Deep, because I knew how important the music was, you know, waiting for Rachel to get back to me, you know, I was just like, you know, couldn't sleep. Yeah, I know, I was just like so nervous, but yeah, it was pretty funny because she thought it was hilarious.
I'm having panic attacks. I'm not sleeping at night.
How could you?
I feel this sense of impending doom. And she's like, oh, that's hilarious. Damn directors. I find it extremely addictive though, doing these things. Yeah. I really do. Making music, making sound, making film. Doing podcasts.
Definitely. Like, I love it. Like, you know, I love, you know, being able to create, you know, music along amazing film and, you know, just music in general. It's just so much fun and excitement and just soul nourishing. I don't know the words.
Yeah, fulfilling. It's very fulfilling.
Just fulfilling.
But I must say, you did inspire me when we met. You inspired me.
Oh, thank you.
You definitely inspired me. Because I always hope to inspire people and lift them and encourage everyone to work together and remind the rock stars that they're rock stars and go out there and be one. And you're someone that broke through my craziness of Ross being Ross, and you inspired me. And you're like, I want to go over to LA. I want to be making film. I want to be doing compositions in LA. I'd love to go to the Academy Awards one day. You know, and these
best original score.
I'm like, whoa, that's such a big dream. I'm like, fuck yeah, why not?
I'm working on it.
Why not?
I'm working on it,
why not have a big ass dream and go and chase that dream down? And I was like, that's a really good outlook to have. Totally. Reach for the stars, man.
Yeah, well, you have to. I mean, I just feel like we put on this earth for a purpose. And, you know, I mean, I think especially as a composer or any sort of artist, you know, or a storyteller, like, you know, we shouldn't be afraid of, you know, success. And we shouldn't be afraid of, you know, going as far as we can or far as possible. You know, we just do it. Do it. And, yeah.
Well, yeah,
just push forward.
Well, do you know my recent dream? Not recent. Well, when do I mean recent? When I mean recent, I'm like, you know, in the last decade. That's what I mean recent. No, I see so much talent in Western Sydney, and I'd just like to see it solidify into the industry that I see that it is. And I think it's starting to happen. All the people are there, and it's starting to come together. And I just hope that it continues to solidify and crystallise and become more pure in its sense of, you know, all this originality that's coming out of the region. I just really like to see that happen. I'd like people to come here to make films, and I'd like people from here to go and make films. You know, that's my dream.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also 13 more subscribers would be really cool. So don't forget to subscribe.
Yes.
That's another dream of mine, to have enough subscribers so I can open the next level of YouTube, man. I do promise I'll get us out there on Spotify and iTunes. And to plug myself, by the way, if you want any sound built for your film, check me out on my website, and check out Still Searching Productions on Facebook. I'm easily reachable as well. Yeah, we should work together again.
Yeah.
We should totally do that.
Yes.
I've got a film project coming up. You want in?
You know I'm always in, Ross. You know I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm hopefully shooting it this year.
Yeah.
So the script is edited and about to do the shot list.
Oh, that's amazing.
Got most of the locations, got most of the actors in mind.
Yeah.
About to do the audition phase again. So it's been a year since I shot a film. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know you'll enjoy working with me.
Yeah. I know. Very confident.
Yeah. Oh, I'm confident. We'll have a lot of fun.
Yeah, totally. That's what it's about, having some fun. Just you're not letting the fear get you down. Sometimes the fear can get you down. That's why I think the big dream's important.
Exactly. I think fear comes in the way for a lot of people. And it's there in all of us. You know, fear is something that's just there, existing in everyone, and it's pushing past that, clearing that, and replacing it with something that's more fulfilling, and that's something that will benefit you. So you know, I mean, it's a scary industry. It is really scary. You know, it is scary, you know, putting yourself out there, writing this music and hearing people's opinions. You know, some people love it, and, you know, some people hate it, and, you know, just being vulnerable and open to that, and not being afraid of it. And I know this is going to sound cheesy, but you really just shouldn't give up. Doesn't matter how hard the going gets, just don't give up, because, you know, if you give up, then that is when you don't make it. Yeah, that's when you crash. Yeah. You just have to keep moving forward, and, you know, it can get hard. You know, it can. There are challenges, and, you know, I've faced my fair share of challenges, and look, there's always going to be more and more challenges to keep going at, but just keep pushing forward. It's why I started my company, Soundhow. So, you know, we're a sound and music production house as well. But, you know, having gone through my struggles as a woman of color and having to face, you know, sexism, racism, I saw that we had a problem, and I wanted to be able to give other minorities opportunities as well, and use my services as a composer to be able to contribute directly towards causes surrounding underrepresentation. So I have this initiative called the 5-to-1 Project. So every 5th project I donate to a cause that is directed towards helping minorities. So last time we supported One Girl, which is an organization that helps girls receive education and job opportunities in Sierra Leone. Okay. And a few other countries. So, you know, I think having gone through that struggle, it's wanted me to push forward to keep creating great music, and, you know, keep going on further with that, but then also, you know, help people that might not get that help. Yes. And provide further access. Yeah. Certainly is accessible. That's a big theme that keeps coming up. Yeah. It really does. So you can find us, Google Soundhow, sound-how,
Sound how?
Sound how.
As in HOW?
Yes.
Sound how.
Sound hyphen
how .com?
.com.
Just .com?
Just .com.
Okay. Check out Sound how. Sound dash how.
Yes.
Underscore.
No.
Dash.
Hyphen.
Oh, hyphen.
Yes.
Oh, that's what I've got a hyphen.
The website's right there. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't have an hyphen. I have an apostrophe. Not that it's in my web address, but I always forget it because it's still searching productions, and I always forget the little apostrophe because you need the searching. Who goes that with a G? Like, there's no G, man. Yeah. Well, yeah, but I don't know if I explained this before. What still searching means? Like
No,
it has a meaning.
Okay.
Because we're searching for the perfect still. We're still searching.
Aww.
You're looking for that perfect moment.
I'm so glad you shared that with me.
Yeah. We're looking for the perfect photograph, or the perfect moment,
Yeah.
the perfect image.
Yep.
And that's why the logo for Still Searching is a playhead and a reverse symbol, and they're stuck together looking for that perfect frame. That's what it means.
Oh, you're so incredible.
I'm pretty sure it was an accident, but I just made it mean that. But with that said, that's what it currently means, folks. No, we are searching for the perfect still. Our other motto is really cheesy. You'll like this one. It is changing the world one edit at a time.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cheesy. That's when that was back doing, my honours degree going, gotta change the world, man.
I know. And you know what? Just keep doing it. Keep changing the world. I think through our art we do that. So you just have to keep pushing at it. I'm really looking forward to this film that you've got coming.
Yeah, I've got a few. I can't go too much into it. I'll talk to you off air, obviously, about it. But I think you did a really good job with Bad Influence there, by the way, because you can't tell the story, but you got to go, right, this is what I'm doing. I was listening. Oh, no. Yep, she's good.
Yeah. No. I'm pretty careful with that.
Yeah. You got to be careful with that,
especially because it hasn't been released.
That's right.
So I'm just careful. I pretty much say whatever Andreas has said, but word it in my own words.
Yeah,
and talk about music because I can.
You're the musician.
That's my expertise. So you know, just be like, oh yeah, we did this.
Well, the one I'm doing, what I can say is it's a sci-fi. It's a science fiction, and it's a cool story. I've gone to the point, where you go, oh, I want someone to read this script and tell me the truth, and I've gotten good feedback from it, so I'm going to make it. So it's a 7-minute film. 7 minutes.
I love sci-fis and the music. Oh my gosh, we're going to have so much fun. We're going to be like brainstorming, mood boarding, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I love those kind of workshops.
I'm a big fan of the music mood board.
Yeah,
that's one of my other processes that I do is just like, right, let's just talk about the characters, ideas,
I'm very this is a story that's been in my head for a long time, and I get to do it, and I figured out a way to do it because when you make a film, right, you've got to make it within your reach.
Yeah.
I've got this other idea about Earth going to war with Mars in the future. It's a great story. Got no money to make that story, so you've got to make things that are obtainable.
Yeah.
I was talking to Von last week, actually. Work in your circle of influence. Hey, did you want more of that?
I'm good.
You're good? You're definitely going to drive?
I have to drive.
You want to drive away later?
So, yeah.
You could stay for another hour, have half a beer. No? All right. I'll drink your half.
Yeah, sure. You go ahead.
Oh, gosh. I think I just did. So what were we climbing there? We were going somewhere. Where were we going?
You were talking about Von and...
Oh, yeah, working in your circle of influence.
Yep.
So work in your circle of influence. Work within things that are obtainable. Have a list of locations that you can do, and have a list of actors that can do it, and write a story that confines within that. But when you do approach a project, because you're talking about all these different instruments in a composition, how much is that digital versus you performing? Do you do a lot of performance?
I'm going to reveal all my secrets.
Don't reveal all your secrets. Don't reveal all of them. I'm just curious.
No, of course. Okay, so look, it just depends basically on the budget. So if a film has a bigger budget, then you will have enough money to be able to... for me to hire musicians. So I've worked with live musicians in the past, and that's a lot of fun, actually. So, that is a whole different other process of, you know, coming up with scores, so sheet music and, you know, recording and, you know, syncing the live music, the recorded music with, you know, the picture. But in a lot of independent films, low budget stuff, for the most part, we use a lot of software instruments. So a lot of sample libraries that help me create the sounds that I...
And you do that on a synth?
So I have a DAW, so a digital workstation software. Whoops, sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah, so
everyone does it, including myself.
It was bound to happen at some point. So, you know, that's sort of my main sort of workstation that I work from. And then, you know, over the years, I've invested and collected like a bunch of sound libraries that help me to create the sounds, which I do with a keyboard, you know, playing that into the computer, you know, fixing it up, editing it, you know, adding effects.
What's your go-to software? Are you Pro Tools, or you're a Logic? You're a Logic
100%. One? Like, I find Pro Tools is good for sound mixing, some more stuff that you do, like Foley, recording. It's great, but I feel for composers, I just love Logic.
Yeah.
You know, I just love that it's so composer friendly and creative friendly. I mean, everybody has their own sort of preferred software, but that's just my go-to. The other popular one is Cubase, but
Cubase. Oh man, I've done some work in Cubase. Cubase is your Fruity Loops entry, almost.
Yes,
Fruity Loops or Audacity.
Yeah.
We use Audacity.
Yeah. I mean, look, there are some composers that swear by it, but
I swear by Cubase. Who swears by Cubase?
Oh, there are a few.
Wow.
But I love Logic in terms of, you know, just being able to do what I want.
I haven't heard someone using Cubase in years. I'm either really out of it or they are.
There are a few people. You know, one famous composer that used Cubase was the composer for Joker, Hilda Gudnadottir.
Used Cubase?
Yeah, she used Cubase. No, that's okay.
Yeah, well, it's my natural place to go because I'm a dude. It's not that I'm living in a patriarchy.
No,
it's just that I'm a dude.
It's all good. No, she uses Cubase and she created an amazing score. So, hey, there are still people that use it. I think there might be some people that might laugh at me for using Logic, but I love it. And hey, look, I've created scores that have done the job.
Yeah.
So whatever.
Yeah, whatevs.
It's about the ideas. It's about the creativity.
Yeah, it's just a tool, I guess. It's just a tool. But
because you'd be surprised how many people get carried away with you know, the technology, because it is exciting. You know, when you hear
it is moving really quick.
Yeah.
What you can do.
Yeah, and when you get into like instrument libraries and sound libraries, like you'd be surprised. You know, I was I've had that question, you know, do I use live instruments or you know, am I using
when you're doing keys, it's a live instrument. Yeah. You're doing keys, right?
Yeah. well, I'm a piano player, so
you're doing live in that sense.
Yes, but you know, when you hear the strings and all that, usually it's just me playing.
So it's all plugins.
Yeah, plugins. Yeah.
So I've got other composer friends that do what you've just talked about, but I've got some that are guitarists and they'll do the guitar lines on a guitar.
You can do that. In fact, there is technology now where you can, like a MIDI guitar, where you, instead of playing it in,
you can actually play it as a guitar.
As a guitar for that. So that works for guitarists, but you know, I'm a pianist, so
yeah. And I've even had guys do digital drums, so they'll be doing digital drum pads. It's actually rare these days that I've done like full live recordings. Like it's been doing been in and out of bands for 20 years. And there used to be a time where even like there was when to record a rehearsal, for instance, we would do a tape deck with those little ghetto blasters, have a towel over it, so the drum wouldn't like smash the mic.
Yeah.
And then it was muffled enough so that we can do writing along the way.
Yeah.
And then go, all right, let's use that idea and then amplify, work on that. But then it sort of migrated into MIDIs. Remember? Oh, not MIDI. Sorry, mini discs.
Yeah.
And then then it was going to rehearsal studios doing MIDI plugins, and then doing live recordings, and not live recordings, but studio recordings. And a lot of stuff is done now just through software.
Yeah.
It just blows my mind about how much it's changed from where I begun doing music to where it is now. But then I talk to other guys that do like Fruity Loops, and they do, or like I remember operating in Audacity because it was Creative Commons Open and it was easy to access. But then I start doing Pro Tools. I haven't got my head around Logic though. I haven't done Logic.
I think you'll be fine with Logic. That's one thing I love about it is
it's Apple.
pretty accessible.
Is it Apple?
Yes.
Logic's
yes,
Apple, yeah.
Yeah. So it's pretty accessible. And that's what I love is, just a form of technology that, you learn, but then, now that you've learned it, you can really just focus on the creative side. So that's, for me, is so important is, people, I think, often get carried away with, I've got this setup, that setup, I use this library, that library, why didn't you use this library? But hey, have you thought about the characters, the emotions, the ideas?
Yeah, don't let the technology overtake the creative process.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, that's one thing for me is, I felt a bit overwhelmed because, people were talking about X, Y, and Z, all these different technologies. And, I think I was just like, well, what about the music? Where do you get the time to really think about the ideas that you're going to compose, So... yeah, I mean, that's just how I see it. So,
well, in another nerdy sense, I build my own sound libraries as well. So when I've actually made sound for people, I always retain them. I always keep them, and I don't even know how much I've done now. It's a lot. Yeah,
you should sell that.
Yeah, I probably should. I should start selling it. I do a lot of it, so it's an absolute hoot though. I love building soundscapes. It's actually why I got into filmmaking to begin with, because I was always doing music, and eventually I decided to go get some education, and I was going about it from a sound perspective. I wanted to do Foley, but I found out there's only like 3 Foley artists in Australia, and they own the monopoly, and there's no way in. So now I just do Foley as an extra, and I ended up directing films because someone wanted to direct a film and no one put their hand up for it. I'm like, oh, how hard can directing a film be? And then I fell in love with filmmaking. That's where that sort of happened. But I got into it with a direction to do sound. That was what I wanted to do. I wanted to learn more about sound. Yeah. And but now I've got the spectrum of it. Now just do everything. Just do absolutely everything except for color grading. Won't do color grading.
Oh gosh, yeah, that's whole nother
mastering and color grading.
Yeah.
Anything to do with those fine touches at the end, I'm like, no, I just cut raw materials, and you need to put that together.
Yeah. Yeah.
But because you do your leveling and whatnot, but mixing. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
But do you do the mastering?
I think it's one of those things where depending on the project, see, for example, with the MIDI arrangements and all that, it's pretty straightforward to kind of get that final product. But if you're getting live instrumentalists to come in and record, mastering is a specialized.
Yeah, it's a different kettle of fish.
So I can mix to a certain extent, but even then, it's nice when you've got that budget. Like, a lot of that gets put to different people. Like, even the big Hollywood scores, it's not just by, one composer doing everything. Like, they usually have teams, someone to write the scores out, creating the sheet music, someone to even orchestrate, which personally for me, I know that I'd want a part in the orchestration, so meaning like I'd want to have a say with what instruments are playing, but you'd be surprised how much gets kind of redirected to other people. in the team. So, I mean, mixing and mastering is something that, you know, especially if you've got like an orchestra, you know, there are people out there that specialize in being able to mix and master that for you.
Well, I think with the two correlations, like I see, you know, editing, you can be a good editor, but that doesn't mean you're a color grader.
Exactly.
You can be a good color grader, but that doesn't mean you're an editor.
Exactly. I mean, it's kind of like the same thing even with sound mixing and sound design as opposed to a composer. See, music itself is such an involved job. You know, you're rewriting, recomposing, and, you know, just constantly changing ideas, you know, and I think because it's so involved, especially with the storytelling, you know, I often get asked to do sound mixes as well, and I'm just like, no, that's not my job.
Yeah, I don't do the. I build things. I don't do the technical side of it.
No,
yeah, so I know what you mean.
even.
I know
Yeah.
exactly what you mean. I build the thing. I'll just build it, and I need someone to like smooth it out for me.
Yeah, yeah.
And I find people that do that, and they're like,
Polisher, right?
yeah,
Someone to just polish
I build the
everything, yeah.
furniture. I'll even like paint it.
Yeah.
But someone needs to shine it up, because I don't do the shine up bit, because it's a totally different craft.
Yeah.
I think there's a limit to wearing all the hats, because you can wear a lot of hats, but there's a limit.
Exactly.
I'm really starting to find that there is limits to how many hats you can wear.
Yeah.
And there's something because we're in a world where we're no longer specialized. We're becoming, we're self-produced in that way, where we're our own factory. You know, we build all these elements and you put them all together. But I think, there certainly comes to a point where you got to draw the line and go, I'm not learning color grading. It's just a whole other year of me learning something else, and I've got to build these other things in the meantime. I get the principles. Like, I know how to make skin tone. I know how to find those things. And I imagine you'd know the principles of mastering. But you go, but it's a different game.
And especially because you've heard, you know, let's say a piece of music like a zillion times, you know, it sounds in your head one way, but, you know, to other people it's going to sound different. So having that second opinion to, you know, listen to it and, you know, fine tune it and polish it.
Yeah, and bring it into balance.
Yeah. I think it's really important.
Yeah, I say this to filmmakers as well. Like, even though sometimes I go out there, write, direct, and edit a film, and sometimes even shoot the film.
Yeah.
From directing, shooting, and editing, I recommend that you don't do that. Like, even sometimes the situation calls for it. Like, don't get me wrong, corporate productions are different. Like, they're pretty part parcel.
Yeah.
But when I'm talking about like fictitious endeavors where you're making these creative projects, I think sometimes separation is good. It's good to have another editor.
Yeah.
It's good to have a different director. It's good to have a different shooter, because they all bring something to the table.
Exactly.
And it's all part of their expertise. You know, can you imagine like shooting, directing, editing, composing?
Oh my goodness.
Color grading, mastering.
There is a film out there actually that I saw that was actually pretty good, that literally this guy wrote, direct, edited, composed, shot. He did everything
Starred
for
in.
it. Yeah, he actually did. Yeah. It was a John Waters film.
Okay. Wow.
So showing at Golden Age Cinema.
See, that's a morning and night person right there.
Yeah. He's morning, night, afternoon.
Afternoon.
I don't think he sleeps at all.
Cyborg. Yeah.
Yeah.
You must sleep at some time.
Yeah.
Or hate everybody.
Yeah. But, you know.
I get hangry.
So do I. You know, but for me, I think, you know, I'm sure you might find this too, you know, just being able to focus on one area, you know, and also getting second opinions as well, you know, just really transforms the work.
Yeah, it allows you to step away and not be precious.
Definitely. Yeah.
You know, when you make your babies, sometimes you're a bit precious with them.
Yeah, of course.
But as the decades rolled on and the next one's rolling up, I've realised that I'm becoming ruthless with myself. I'm like, get rid of all of it, doing it again.
Yeah. And I think even for myself, you know, I'm happy to start again, because you kind of have to in film. You kind of don't get too attached to something till the director is just like, this is great.
Yeah. You know, now you're on the path.
Now you're on a path, you know, this is great. So, Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think we're really close to the end. Yeah, we've done a good hour.
Yeah.
That
went by really quickly.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We could probably rattle on for another hour.
Probably could.
We probably could. But let's do the final plug. So, if I want to do a composition with you, how do I contact you?
Well, as I was saying before, I'm pretty Googleable, but if you want...
Googleable?
I'm pretty
Is
Googleable.
that right? Can we be Googleable?
Googleable? Well, that's just my word.
I think I've done that all right because I think I've smashed 3 beers during this interview. It's been a long afternoon, folks. It's been a hot day too.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Whatever gets you through, right? You
Yeah.
3 beers and an espresso.
Yeah. Oh, maybe later when I'm editing.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Gosh, I don't know how you do it, but yeah. So I have a website, AnishaThomas.com.
Yep. And your company.
Yes, and Sound How. So sound
Hyphen
how.
HOW sound hyphen HOW
Yes, .com. So I'm pretty much everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm pretty easy to get in contact with. So
And get your films composed, guys. I know you're out there
Yes.
making films, and if you need it done.
It's such an important part of the storytelling, and it can really transform your film.
And
You know, and it's a lot of fun too. You know, you'll have a lot of fun working with me. You know, I make it.
You are pretty great. You are pretty great.
Thank you.
And if you need Foley done in your film, don't forget to contact Still Searching Productions. If you need an edit done, don't forget to contact Still Searching Productions. You can find me at stillsearchingproductions.com, or you can email me at stillsearchingproductions@gmail.com. Check us out on Facebook. Don't forget to give us a subscription for the Pagey train. We are moving very at a great rate of knots towards getting further towards that monetization of the show, so we can actually just become self-sufficient. I'm not looking for the world, man. I just want to pay the bills, man. But thank you so much for joining the show.
Oh, thank you for having me.
It's been an absolute pleasure. I can't wait to work in the future. We'll talk off air about that, which would be fantastic. But you have been watching the Pagey Train, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah.
Don't forget to subscribe. Subscribe. I don't think I got too drunk during that show. Gosh, sorry guys.
No, that's all good.
Is this really? Are you hot?
I am.
Frickin' boiling.
It is hot.